Good morning, everyone, and welcome once again to the Club Racing UK podcast in association with Silver Lake Automotive Recycling. We're painting your living rooms, your studies, your audio devices. We're painting them orange this evening because, of course, we are talking all things marshalling. Now, we've got four wonderful guests with us tonight. I must say, Nick, when you put this episode together for us, it was quite a busy one, wasn't it? This is going to be a very popular episode.
This has been a very busy one. Like I say, it was hard to choose the guests this evening, and as we were saying pre-show, I reckon there'll be a part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even more than that. There was tons of people that wanted to get involved with this, so it was good.
Absolutely. Let's get started with some of the comments before we introduce you to our wonderful guests this evening. Carl Barton, evening all. Thank you, Orange Army. Rainbird, I won't show the first comment because it might get us banned. It was bonjour and that's it. I won't put the word afterwards. He says, big up the Orange Army. Neil Ashcroft, first a post on the Facebook group. What a loser. No, not at all, Neil. Good to see you out racing on the weekend, my friends. Matt Clary told the kids to leave the room. I want full concentration on the podcast. Tim Perry says, hi, everyone. How are we all?
We're fantastic,
well.
Tim.
We are very good, Tim. Thank you for joining us this evening. Megan Edwards, one of our favourite marshals, especially at the Snetterton circuit, joins us this evening. Jason Stone, All Square Racing Road, Jamie Mould, Vicky Pratt, Tim Perry we've already seen as well. Dilly to the Orange Army, superb, fantastic. Again, thank you to everyone for joining us. Make sure to stay tuned this evening. So introducing, first of all, I'm your host, Robert Lewis, with our wonderful co-hosts, Stefan Marsh and Nick Holmes of Club Racing UK. Evening, guys.
Evening.
Have you cooled down yet?
No.
I'm getting there.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. The rain has been very welcome. Yesterday at work, I was literally led on my front on the floor, like, yes, finally. But it's still too bloody hot. I'm still going to moan.
Absolutely, which, to be honest, just gives me a bit more respect for the marshals because they are out in this heat in full pro band suits, all suited and booted, ready to help everyone. It's all right for a driver. We do 15, 45-minute races, get out, get in a paddling pool or pour a drink over ourselves. The poor marshals are out there all day. So massive respect to those guys. And tonight, guys, we've been joined by four wonderful guests. So introducing in no particular order, we've got Sam Walker, we've got Carolyn Doyle, we've got Thomas Davies, and we've got Nadine Lewis. Now, you may recognise Nadine. I'm going to embarrass you now. If you did watch the British Grand Prix at any point this year, you would have probably heard about this. Steph, I'll spare you the blushes, mate. Can you see the video? If we could just pop the video up, you might just recognise Nadine. Stood somewhere quite prominent.
For any wrongdoing. Now, you'll notice on the podium we have a marshal, and this is absolutely brilliant. That for the first time ever, we're going to have a marshal and the head of the Marshals Association presenting one of the trophies up on the podium. More on that in a moment.
So, what an introduction. Good evening, guys.
That is bloody brilliant.
Good evening, guys. How are we all this evening? Thank you for joining us.
Good, thank you.
Yeah, all good.
Absolutely fantastic. Now, quick question. Were you out in the heat of the weekend just gone?
Yes.
That bad?
Yes.
Right, okay. Well, to be fair, Tom's already told us in the background. So you were at Brands with the MSV meeting. Did you stay on for the Festival Italia? Tom? Right, I think we've got a connection issue. Tom, we'll come back to you, mate. So whereabouts were you this weekend, Nadine?
I was at Anglesey, which being on the coast you'd think would be fairly cool, but we were a good 29, 30 degrees and a long day Saturday. We had the Fun Cup into the night race, so it was quite nice by the time we finished at 10:30 on Saturday night because it cooled down a bit. But big thanks to all the teams, drivers who put money in the cafe for us all to go and get soft drinks and ice creams. I think I ate more ice creams at the weekend than I ever do normally in an entire 12-month period, but they were very welcome.
Oh,
Carolyn, Sam, what about yourselves? Were you out the weekend just gone, or have you been out in this heat at all in the past couple of weeks?
No, I had a weekend off this weekend just gone because we came back from the long journey up to Croft the weekend before for the 2CV meeting. So yeah, sat this weekend out.
nice.
Lucky, I think.
Don't blame you.
You dodged a bullet there, certainly. What about yourself, Sam? When was the last time you were out marshalling?
Well, the last event I was at was at Chelsea Welsh Hill Climb for the British Hill Climb Championships the weekend just gone. Admittedly, I wasn't marshalling that one, but hats off to everyone that was, because it was pretty intense and the days were long, and there's no sort of shade at all, really. So, yeah, that was a good effort, really, from everyone there. And the last event I was marshalling at was the week before at Lowton Park Hill Climb. Again, boiling hot, so hot that the track was actually sort of melting almost. It was unreal. Yeah, that was a tough one.
Whoa.
I can imagine. Right, we'll just try Tom again. Tom, can you hear us?
Yes, I can now.
Right, we haven't got your camera, but we've got your audio. We'll stick with it for now. So, Tom, you were out the previous weekend just gone at Brands Hatch.
Yes, I was, and it was toasty, let's say.
You're telling me I was there on the Saturday and
Well,
you was in shorts and t-shirt.
You
well,
were in the full baller suit for 6-7 hours in the whole day.
No, I was walking around with a bottle full of iced water and hiding at every opportunity. So yeah, I'm not going to compare, but I can tell you now, Brands was blisteringly hot. It was horrible.
I don't think there was even a cool breeze just to bring something to cool you down, was it?
No,
nothing.
There wasn't.
It's always worse when it sits like that. Right, so we've brushed on the Brands meeting, so I suppose at that point we better delve into the news and race roundup. Right, you guys know the usual spiel. We are picking 3 random race meetings. I'll be honest, there's a little bit of bias here because 2 of them do feature our wonderful ambassadors. However, we do start with Donington, actually, because they had their Brit Car Trophy meeting there this weekend. Massive grid, absolutely huge grid. I think it was something like 37 cars. I'm yet to catch up on the live stream yet. But it was an SVG Motorsport double during the Brit Car Trophy round as well, with the Mark Lees, Owen Hizzy, Janetta G57. It looks like a G55, but it's a G57.
It's the Academy style cars, isn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. So I think from what I could gather, it was an SVG Motorsport 1-2.
Total club level racing car.
Started off with some club racing right there.
Well, that's a good point. But then you say that there are other club level. I mean, we'll come to it at the Brands round, but there are other club series that have arguably got more expensive cars in them.
Yeah, this is very true.
This is very true. Now, before anyone asks, there is a video clip doing the rounds of a Clio that rolled in the same race that unfortunately caught the back of a Honda Civic and rolled. We're not going to show you that clip purely because the driver's still recovering. I believe he's got a broken collarbone or a broken arm or elbow, something like that. All we could say, the guys at Track Limit, we wish you all the best. Hopefully you're back out and you're racing soon. But it was great. Go on, Nick.
Sorry. No, I did see that he posted up earlier on and said obviously it's all fine because everyone started taking the piss as they do with social media. But yeah, obviously never like to see incidents on a racetrack. So yeah, there's no point in us posting the video up. Like I said, it's doing the rounds on socials, isn't it? So
yeah, absolutely, and we're not going to be about that, especially on tonight's show. The other highlight of that weekend as well, I caught up with it was the Hyundai Coupe Cup, which had some fantastic option on as well.
Love it.
Adam Jones at the double taking out the spoils in there. A good 20 cars out with the series. Nice close racing. And it's good to see a couple of the later generation cars out with that series. The Gen
3 cars are certainly, like I say, when we first looked at doing the Hyundai Coupe Cup. I know the Gen 3 was just being trialled and things like that. So John Winter was pushing it hard. And yeah, it's good to see quite a few of these Gen 3 cars coming through now and up at the sharp end of the grid as well. So it's still a series I really want to have a go in. That's not me beg, borrowing or trying to steal a drive or anything like that. But after coming so close to getting our first little drive in that with Absolute, and then for it to be taken away because of bloody COVID, I'm so annoyed with that. It's just, yeah, we'll get a go one day for sure.
Absolutely. Right, back to some comments. Tim Perry. I was marshalling the weekend before last at Castle Combe Circuit for the Combe Carnival with TCR UK. Now, talking about Castle Combe, our man himself, Dan Thackeray, so we've got a bit of an ambassador alert here. Our lovely Club Racing UK ambassador was out in the Civic Cup, and didn't he do well? Second and fifth. And
that man can pedal. He's ridiculous.
It was certainly a close-fought race. I mean, race 2 was very good. It was a shame to see Merv Beckett have a bit of an instant, but...
Is that the one who started on pole?
Yeah, sort of pole position. I mean, to be fair, there was a few cars that unfortunately got smashed up in race 2.
Civic Cup.
It's definitely close fraught racing, isn't it, with the Civic Cup guys?
That's one way to describe it. Yeah.
I'm being nice.
We'll leave that there. We'll leave that there. That's all. And recently, so Saturday, obviously, Tom, you were watching the wonderful racing with the MSVR meeting. So you had the likes of the CMMC and the Thunders, which, to be honest, and we spoke about this just now, a club level race car. Well, Alex Sidwell and the Holden Commodore.
Yeah, but come on, that is a beautiful car.
It is a beautiful car. He took a great performance by Alex. He took out 4 wins across both the CMMC Super Saloons and the Thunder Saloons. We've got a bone to pick with one of our ambassadors, Nick Vaughan. Now, guys that are watching out there that haven't watched the Club Racing UK podcast before, our lovely guests. The rule of Club Racing UK is simple. If you're an ambassador or you're one of us or you're one of our partners, the rule is very simple. If you get a podium, whether it's an overall podium or a class podium, the law states, and this is full written into the Queen's law.
This is the law as well.
It's absolute law. Absolute law. The Queen approved it herself, signed it off her match, the whole lot. If you get a podium, you have to do a shoey. And Nick's not done that yet, and he's got 4 podiums this year. So as punishment, we are going to put this picture up, which...
That's a brilliant photo.
I genuinely don't know what he's doing there, but Nick, you owe us several shoeys. I'm sorry.
Can I just add as well? I'm going to call him out on a live show here. The cheeky sod tried striking a deal with me and was like, well, if you buy the beer, I'll do the shoey. And I'm like, I ain't about. That is not how the ambassador program works. We do not supply the beer. You get the beer for getting the podiums. Now, come on, Nick. It's not good enough.
It's shoey time.
It is shoey time. So we will let you know on the progress of Team Vaughan there.
For the record, actually, we're also owed one from Jeremy still from Brands weekend.
Absolutely. We're talking about.
We're not doing very well at this.
We're not, are we? I mean, talking about Jeremy, a great performance by him.
Don't blame us. It's these pesky drivers. I think they're too above a shoey.
Right. So talking about Jeremy, so he took out a great overall podium in the Track Day Trophy, where Stuart Donovan went on to take his first overall win in club racing. So well done, Stuart. Great performance by yourself and the 7 Racing team. In Track Day Championship, it did get a bit tasty there as John Lyon and Jordan Honeybone fought for the lead on the GP Loop. Jordan actually hit a bit of, I think it was a bit of coolant on the roads, and unfortunately he had no choice to lock the brakes up, but he slid into the back of John under brakes. They both spun, both managed to turn it around and get back on the circuit, just as the red flags came out.
Yes, I still don't know what happened. I saw the red flags and then everyone disappeared. And I was like, what happened?
Well,
I didn't
Tom,
really...
Hello.
Tom was on post. So do you have any idea why they red flagged that race? Was it for the 2 cars that got hit?
No, it was, without going into too much detail, it was something that happened out the GP loop because I was on the post by pit lane entry.
Okay.
Right.
As far as I'm aware, there's something that happened out the GP loop and the 2 cars are blocking the track.
Yeah, that
Oh,
was the leaders. So it was for that incident.
As far as I'm aware, yeah.
But they both kept the win. I think so. They literally turned around, got going again, but they managed to keep the win. Fair play to them.
That's good.
Well, I was listening to I was on my way up, taking the car up to Ford Fair, so I was listening to the TSL commentary. And there was a bit of Mark Werrell was on the commentary, and there was just a bit of confusion going on. Was like, is that what's caused the red flag? There were a couple of other cars that had just visited the gravel trap, so we had no idea. I'll just going through the rest of the results from the weekend. So obviously, Nick, actually, we'll start with you first. So describe your day at Brands. It was a hot day for you, but a great day's racing.
Hot. Very hot. It was great. Like I say, I just want to actually give a shout out to all. I mean, this is me just at Brands. Obviously, there's plenty of other racing going on the weekend, but I just want to give a massive shout out to like MSV, the classic touring car guys, and the CMMC as well, because none of the grids that were on show this weekend probably was shy of 40 cars. It was honestly, the grids were absolutely immense. I mean, I know obviously it has the appeal of the Brands Hatch GP loop. You don't get to drive that very often, but my God, it was like, for instance, I was walking up towards the pits while one of the races was gridding up, and you could see the back of the grid like still halfway around kind of clearways, and that was them ready to go race. It was just brilliant. So I just wanted to say shout out to the organisers really, because some bloody brilliant cars on show, and the racing was fantastic. And I should again one final shout out for the track day trophy race. I just want a massive shout out to every single driver on that grid, because the Porsche that was in 4th place or 3rd place, he stalled it on the line, and somehow every single car missed him. I was literally stood there in the pits just with my head in my hands like, oh shit, something big's gonna happen. Everyone missed him. It was bloody brilliant. How they did it, I don't know, but
Absolutely. We spoke about the TDC race just now. Jordan Honeybones, one of the cars involved, is just come up. Hi, Rob. I think the race was stopped partly because of the incident and also the oil slick around the whole circuit. Now, there was so before it actually happened, obviously I had the benefit of just the audio, so I had Mark Werrell in my ears, which isn't a bad thing on a race weekend. Brilliant commentary. No. And he was describing there was cars off at paddock. There was a few, I think, went off at Surtees. There was just there appeared to be fluid somewhere around the circuit. So clearly one of the cars, the hot conditions had just got to it. Yes, Nick.
It wasn't you in the Focus, was it?
No, I was elsewhere. I've been there and done that. So Jordan says, but in the race report it does say because of the sports there. I mean, fair play, Jordan. Okay. So I mean, Jordan actually put the video up afterwards. Of him, and you see it. The speed he carries, it almost accelerates because of whatever he hits. And from my understanding, if you are watching Jordan, everything's all okay. Both kept your positions, super. That's great, and you both carried on, no problem. A little bit of damage to the Clio, but I'm sure you guys will get that done soon.
I did see a little bit of a prang on the front. That's literally all I saw after red flag. Was like, oh. Something's happened, but no idea what.
Absolutely. Right, so that concludes our race reports. We really want to get on with the main topic this evening. Thank you, our wonderful guests, for waiting patiently. However, the comments are absolutely going mental.
But we did say, didn't we? We did say it was going to go like this.
Seriously. Frank Mead, always a pleasure being on post with the Orange Army, full of banter and great characters. Thank you for all you do for us enthusiasts. Andrew Butcher, Mr. and Mrs. Butcher are here. Now, Dawn has commented as well. So a massive comment there. So I will put that up in a second. Tim Perry, I was marshalling right. I've already put that one on. Rainbird, Brands was all about afternoon naps in the Team Prawn racing tent. Some anti-social folks were driving loud cars nearby, though, which was pretty inconsiderate.
Oh, I love it.
If you want to go to a racetrack and nap, that's up to you, mate. Crack on. Jamie Peters Ennis. Sorry I'm late. Marshals, despite being on post for over 13 hours on Saturday at Anglesey, were absolutely fabulous. Well done, Marshall. Chris Blakey, big thanks to all marshals. Got pulled out the gravel last weekend at Donington, and sod's law, it happened to be my friends who was marshalling, whose corner I went off at as well. Good to see a friendly face, but plenty of piss taking.
Yes.
We had a thought that might happen this evening. We might get a few of those.
It's good.
We did think it was possible. Megan Edwards, we hid in the trees between post 2 and 3 at the British Touring Cars. It was a welcome treat in the shade. Well done for persevering, Megan. And now we get to Dawn Butcher, our former ambassador. Great to see you doing a Marshall special. Unsung heroes, volunteers. Not many people realise that. Well done to some of the clubs who offer a token gift. B42's Motorsport are still offering refreshments and a prize draw when we race, but our plans for this season have been forced to change. Dawn will be back at Brands Hatch this weekend as part of the Track Adapt Race Club in the Deutschmark race. Her first race as Mrs. Butcher. So there we go, guys. There we go. Benjamin Griffiths has also joined us as well. Even chaps, Nick looks strangely normal tonight. Neil Ashcroft talks to Brands. My first time on the GP loop. Great days racing. Had a thermometer in the car at a race 1 at midday. It was above 50 degrees.
Bloody hell. That'd be why I couldn't see you, Neil, because you must have shriveled up. You disappeared. Making a bloody huge song and dance the other day about how I didn't come and see him, or I did come and see him, but he was too busy filling his face somewhere.
To be honest, he was probably getting himself an ice cream in the Hawthorns Cafe.
Yeah,
Do you blame him?
No, I don't blame anyone for that.
Right, guys, so it's time to move on. Again, guests, thank you for listening to us ramble through our race reports. So the real idea behind the episodes and doing it today. So obviously everyone knows last year a tragic turn of events meant that we lost a marshal when Robert Foote tragically passed away at Brands Hatch. The outpouring was something special that we see amongst the racing community. But one of the things that the three of us actually discussed and were a bit worried about is that similar to what happened with the NHS during COVID, you would have the big appreciation and then it would trickle off. And we don't want that to happen because at the end of the day, a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years on, we're still going to need marshals. They're a massive key part of the motorsport society. And over a year on, in fact, from those tragic events, we still really want to shout out, praise the marshals, and tell people exactly how to get involved in marshalling. So thank you for joining us, guys. I will start one at a time with you to just ask the question, when did you start getting into marshalling? So, Sam, I'll start with you.
When
was the first time? And
throw you straight in there.
How did you get into it? When was your first time and how long have you been doing it?
So, I've been involved in motorsport my whole life, really, through family, and I was, a baby going to my first events, whatnot. I first took up marshalling when I was about 13, so 10 years ago, at hill climb events, and I was marshalling as a cadet and running paddocks, etc. And then it sort of really then started to get serious when I just started uni at the time, and I was, as any student was, I had a plastic bottle filled with vodka going to a house party, and I had a text come through from the Lowton Park committee, and they texted me saying that the chief marshal has stood down. We want you to take over for next year. And 19-year-old me was sat on this bus drinking and insert expletive after expletive when I saw that text message. So I was like, well, okay, then I can't lose anything. So I said yes. And then I've been chief marshal at Lowton Park for 5 years now, which has been wonderful because we've got a great team of people there now. And it's, from my perspective, it's really nice to watch people develop and learn new skills and put them out of their comfort zone and develop as marshals. And then as of this May, which is like the latest chapter really, I ended up getting the job at Motorsport UK, which is why I'm wearing other side this tonight, and I'm working in the learning and development team. So my work is all to do with the training, supporting marshals and officials at events all across the UK, all disciplines. So that's like the next stage really. That's why I'm here as well, to speak to you guys.
That must be a really rewarding experience for you, to be able to, as well as you've put your input in as a marshal and a chief marshal, and you're still doing that, but you're also able to pass that on to other people and train them and really give extra back to the motorsport community.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I have a lot of credit to give to people all the way through my journey for having faith in someone my age as well, to take on that responsibility and to give something back. And there's always more to be done. There's always more training you can give. There's always more experiences you can provide people. And it's an absolute pleasure. And I absolutely love my job, and I love doing what I do at the weekends for fun, going out marshalling and enjoying the sport really. That's
certainly the best seat in the house, isn't it? So Carolyn, where did it all start for yourself?
Well, firstly, I'm only 30, and Sam's story made me feel ancient. So, But I did a taster day at Donington in 2015, and was instantly hooked. But I didn't have a driving license. I couldn't drive at that point. So I did. Croft was my nearest circuit. I did a day at Croft, as soon as I could, and it was a fabulous meeting. Was on post with some really, really great people who I'm still friends with now. Learned a lot just on that one day, and was so addicted that the next meeting I did was a couple of weeks later and was Knockhill, and I got the train to Knockhill with all my camping gear, all of my marshalling gear, 2 trains and a taxi, and I've never looked back from there really.
Now, to be fair, you've sent in some wonderful photos here as well. So we're just going to cycle through a couple of these with hopefully some explanations to go with them. So we've got one there. That looks like Anglesey. Is that Anglesey?
It is. That's the Race of Remembrance, which we do every year. My birthday is always on Remembrance Weekend, so it's always my birthday weekend. I usually spend my birthday on a cliff top in Anglesey in the dark, usually in the rain. But there's a group of us all go up, and it's a great weekend.
Outstanding as well. So are you in that picture at all?
I am. I'm flagging, so that's Knockhill. Provides me double waved yellows for somebody. My friend Paul, I think, retrieving a touring car bumper. That was actually that was the first
that went on
weekend.
eBay.
I don't know what happened to that, to be honest. I think a spectator nabbed it.
Oh shit! I bet.
What a swine! You'd think that's bloody typical. The marshal goes and retrieves it, and it's a spectator that nabs it to put on his wall. I can't believe that. Now, you sent these photos on. What on earth is going on? Is this sleeping on the job?
Well, as you can tell from the tabard, that is the British Grand Prix in, I want to say 2019. Formula One runs to a slightly different timetable to club racing, in that they have to make sure that the TV never runs late. So there are often longer gaps in track activity, and it was quite a warm year that year. So, and I'd been up since about 5 o'clock in the morning.
I can imagine, and there's more photos here of obviously the pit lane at the British Grand Prix, so that's got to be something.
Yeah, that's one of the perks. So we get a marshal's pit walk one of the evenings, and that's quite a special moment because F1, you've got to do a certain number of days to apply to do the F1, and to stand there in the Formula One pit lane, other people to stand there have got to pay thousands and thousands of pounds, and it's such an honoured position to be able to sort of stand there and soak all the atmosphere in.
Yeah, because that's the thing, isn't it? Like, obviously, we rave about club racing, but I bet the atmosphere at a Formula One weekend is just ridiculous.
I always say my favourite bit of the weekend is the bit when, not to sound biased, but the bit when Lewis Hamilton comes out the pit lane for the first time, because the whole circuit just lifts, and it does send chills. It really does.
Ah, cool. That's really cool.
Absolutely, what a man. So we've got so this is a Motorsport UK event celebrating women in motorsport. So was this year?
Yeah, this was the Grand Prix this year. We were invited to the W Series paddock. They had some speakers and things, and that was a really nice kind of celebrating women in a lot of different avenues of motorsport.
Yeah,
good. I like to see that. Right, so Tom, how did you get into motorsport? How long have you been doing it, and how long have you been marshalling?
I've been marshalling for about 4 years, and to be honest, I sort of got into motorsport off my own back. Because I've been going to events since probably since I was a baby, and it's just sort of I got caught the bug of motorsport, and I'm probably about the first person in the whole family that's been so closely involved in motorsport, whether it's marshalling or running a team, etc., etc., etc. And yeah, I mean, I remember I think the taste today was at a club meeting at Brands. And yeah, there's not really much that stopped me from doing it.
It's addictive, isn't it? It's addictive, this motorsport malarkey. I think it would be definitely cheaper to have a drug addiction. That's for sure. I reckon
it probably would be, to be fair, seriously. And to be honest, it probably costs less. From a competing point of view, it costs less. But
yeah,
especially at the moment with fuel prices. But fantastic.
Oh,
Tom.
Don't keep harping on about fuel prices.
No, just yeah, I can't anymore. I can't. It's depressing. Ben Griffiths actually makes a good point. Steph, hear him out here, because this actually replies to me and you. To be fair, the shining light of an incident that sees you stop at a post during a race is normally quite a good laugh. Now, the reason I say this, probably a podcast from June last year, you'd have seen me and Steph lament the fact that on lap 3, Steph retired from the race of the Track Day Championship. And on lap 4, I retired from the race of the Track Day Championship. The funny thing was, we both decided to pull off at exactly the same marshals post, and we stood on the banking with the marshals having a good old natter to them while they had, I think it was a safety car came out and neutralised the race. Didn't they red flag it for a bit, Steph?
Yeah, it red flagged eventually.
They red flagged it eventually.
That wasn't for us, though.
That wasn't for us, but we were almost a bit gutted because we had to then dash into our cars and get towed back to the paddock while they had the red flag on, understandably, because we were having a right good laugh with the marshals just stood there and they're asking us where we're from and vice versa. And to be fair, we used the opportunity to tell them about what we do at Club Racing UK and stuff like that. So it's fantastic. Go on, say again, Tom.
Any excuse.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Pull over and promote the brand instead of finishing the race. Love the commitment, boys. I love the commitment. Keep it going.
I mean, bearing in mind, it wasn't bad enough that both our cars, mine with the Club Racing UK podcast logo massively down the side, and Steph's Mini with the Club Racing UK logo massively down the side, pulled off after 4 laps of a 45-minute race.
Come to think about it, I think you two visited more marshals posts last year than anyone else.
He's not wrong. That's the problem.
It's all about the
because we've got the cake.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, is that what it is? You cheeky bastards.
I love it. Some more comments coming in. Jamie Goff, utmost respect to the marshals. They basically risk their lives so we can race, and obviously they save our lives as well. If it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be able to race. Thank you, Jamie, for contributing that. That's fantastic. So Nadine, you are current chair of the BMMC, but taking you right back to the start. Where did you get the motorsport bug? Where did it start for you, and how long have you been marshalling?
Okay, well, Carolyn thinks she's old at 30. I'm a little bit older than that. I think I've been marshalling longer than Sam and Tom have been on this planet, but so I feel really old. So I got the motorsport bug because I used to watch Grand Prix with my dad. He used to be away during the week, come home at the weekend. The only time I got to sit with him, spend time with him, was on a Sunday in front of the telly with F1. So always been watching it. My mum and dad actually were at Donington for that infamous wet race when Ayrton won. But I was at home watching on the telly and had to tell them what happened, because with the commentary and the rain, they had no clue what had happened at the race itself. So when they got home, I had to tell them everything that happened. And then myself, I had a friend who actually heard them talking about marshalling on local radio. I was based in Leeds at the time, and they said, come to a taster day, come and see what it's all about, and try it. And that's what I did. I went to Alton Park. I did a taster day. I had a TVR Tuscan land at my feet, and the rest is history, as they say. That was it. I was like, I'm hooked. Can I come back? When can I do this again? I fell over on my first day, so I was like, yeah, I need to get some overalls so that I don't like ruin my own clothes. Yeah, so I've been marshalling 25 years now. And still love it, still get the buzz from it. I run taster days. I've run taster days at Alton Park for the last 15 years. So I see all the new people coming through, and still have that enthusiasm, and they give me that enthusiasm as well. It's one of those where they go, oh my God, we're allowed to walk on the track. And I'm there going, oh yeah, that's kind of normal when we cross over. And that, you know, I'm kind of used to that, but it's new for somebody who's never done it before. So it's great. It's great to have new people coming in and finding out about it, and they might not stay. But I have to say the majority of people who come on a taster day come back. We normally try and give them a good experience. I normally have to go and secretly pay drivers afterwards and go, thanks for spinning while I was trying to explain the flags. That was perfect timing. It's like, it's great. I did. I literally had one last weekend and they all went, are you going to pay him? And I was like, yeah, I think I might. Because that was like perfect. Just as I was about to explain what a yellow flag was, he spun.
You must have felt magic.
So yeah.
Wait a minute. Does that mean you're sabotaging races?
I've had all the excuses. I could write the book, I think, that drivers have come out with, including me flashing at a driver, which caused him to land his car in a gravel trap. And I was like, have you ever tried to get out of a set of overalls quickly? Because it's just not going to happen, really.
It's not going to happen.
And he gave that excuse to the clerk of the course, who I happened to know at the time, and he just fell about laughing. He just thought that's probably one of the best excuses.
That's amazing that someone would even try that.
I didn't
and he was in a
expect to hear
TVR
that
as well. And he was in a TVR, so not the very first one that I ever had land at my feet, but he was in a TVR. So
I do miss that championship though, because that must have been awesome to not only marshal for, but just to watch. Those Tuscans were mental.
Yeah,
they were awesome. Yeah, they were.
Absolutely. Right, we've got more comments. Just really popular tonight, guys, and thank you for commenting. Keep the comments coming. Jamie Peters Ennis. I want to personally thank everyone of the Orange Army, regardless of if it's 30 plus degrees or whether it's freezing cold. Anglesey. They are always there smiling, giving up their time for free. Anglesey was ridiculously hot, but that did not dampen the enthusiasm from me or every other driver. Thank you so much for everything to do for the sport we love. We found the marshal, Steph. Tim Perry. Wasn't that at Castle Combe? I was marshalling at the S's and you both pulled off if memory serves me.
Oh, yeah, God. Busted.
There we go.
Hi again, Tim. Good to see you. Adam Stubbs. I can confirm the addictiveness of marshalling. 21 years since I started, and I still look forward to every day trackside. This one's on me, gentlemen. Megan Edwards. Me and Emma had a visit from Robert at Snetterton when you had a coolant leak.
Can I just say, Megan, you're going to need to narrow that down a little bit when you say a coolant leak.
It was a Snet, so I had two. Well, admittedly, I had two at Brands at the same meeting. Both different causes, but same meeting. And
yes.
The one at Snetterton, that was another hose that blew. But so the hose blew into turn one to actually track it back. So the starter button on the steering wheel stopped working as we came out of assembly. So we had to bump start it to get out and qualify. So I got in the car, AJ got out, and I'm going towards turn 2. The hose went, put coolant on my rear tyres, and I spun into the hairpin and stalled it. And, of course, what's the first thing you do? You go for the button, but it's not working. So I may have read...
I remember that, because you parked it on the apex, didn't you?
Ruined my qualifying session, Robert.
I spun it, parked it perfectly on the apex, and red flagged the session. And then I saw, it's Snetterton. Obviously, they've got the hairpin in the hut is right in front of you. And I just sort of looked up at Emma and Megan up on the tower and went, just couldn't restart it. And hence the photo. I didn't get the photo.
I was going to say, didn't they take a photo of you and was like, you can't park there, mate, or something?
They captioned it, you can't park there, mate. And it's poor Emma that's in the passenger side. She just opened the door and was like, can't you pull it forward? I'm like, I need a bump start. Oh, but thank you for that, guys. C1 Racing Club comments as well. Evening, guys. Big up the Orange Army. Chris Pearson, Good evening. Love all my chats with the marshals throughout my day shooting trackside. Much respect to all. So that's Chris Pearson of CPF Photo there. And Neil Ashcroft comes in. Rob, you need a T-shirt with marshal post visits around the circuits.
Oh, yes. That's a new sticker.
Yeah,
I mean, to be fair, it got so bad in the Mini that on the green flag lap, rather than going up warming the tyres, it was checking out which one was a decent marshal post to fit the car in without messing up the race. That's what I was doing.
I love it.
Same. To be fair, Steph, you make a good point there, because it got like that with the Focus. And when you did the track walk the night before, you were doing that as well as looking at where the apex is and where you turn in and the profile of the corner is like, that marshal's, that's got quite a good gap there. So if it does cut out, I can sneak it in there. Oh, my God. Matt Clary comments, 2 racetracks that the marshals really need a pat on the back, Anglesey and Snetterton. Both seem to have their own microclimate, and you never know what weather you're going to get.
Yeah,
but it's not always tracks across the country. Not.
I was going to say that's all tracks.
Yeah,
particularly if they're an airfield.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I'm going to put this question out to the 4 of you. So, what more needs to be done to get more people into marshalling? Is it about getting new people? Is it about getting people currently involved elsewhere, like other drivers involved? What do you guys feel needs to be done more?
I think everybody's got an answer, but nobody's quite.
Tell you what, Sam. Can I put you in the limelight? Come on.
Okay. Yeah. I think it's the whole. We've obviously got an issue where we've got people that don't know how to get involved. They see people out on the track, but there's almost like that barrier, literal barrier, where they think, I don't know how to get onto the other side of that. And it's just making people aware that actually we are all volunteers, that you can go through the channels. So you can go through Motorsport UK, you can go through BMMC, you can even just speak to a marshal at the venue. To get involved, and it is literally that simple. There's no massive thing you have to go through. You just have to speak to someone, and they can guide you in the right direction. It's just getting that message out there. You can just do it. Just speak to someone. And I think also it's something I'm working on at the moment is to try and get people under the age of 18 into the sport as well, and that's a big project which is starting to happen. And a way of trying to recruit kids into the sport and keep them engaged and to make them want to carry on and give them opportunities, not only just in the marshalling world, but things that are transferable as well to the outside world. But that also applies to marshals, adult marshals. You learn so much about life marshalling. It's not just about the sport. It's also about making friends and speaking with people and learning how to deal with difficult situations. And I have to say, like, I'm not the person I am now had I not done all of those things growing up in the sport as a marshal. It's just getting the message out there that there's so much to be gained from doing this. And I mean, most importantly, like as Carolyn said, you can go to the Grand Prix for nothing, and you can go and see all of these drivers, and they'll literally be right there. It's just getting that message out, really. That's the big one.
We can certainly try and help ourselves with that.
Go on,
Sorry.
Go on, Nadine.
I was just going to follow on from Sam that I normally help out at Autosport. We normally have a recruitment stand at Autosport every year. And I have to say, it's the same question that always gets asked, or the same comment always gets made, is I haven't got time. And it's always really key to say, well, if you do want to do it, minimum 4 days a year. It's not a massive commitment. It's wherever you want to do it, whenever you want to do it, whatever suits you. If you want to go on and do things like the Grand Prix, or you want to go and do and gain more responsibility, then yes, you would need to do more. But it is a commitment of 4 days a year. That's all we ask for. And I think that's always the one that people go, you know, I haven't got time. It's like, but actually 4 days, really? 4 days? You can't, you know, so that's an ongoing, that's a perennial question that always gets asked. And I think, as Sam says, it's really key to get it out there that yes, you can do it, and you can go anywhere and do anything that you like. And I have to say, we've just launched the new pathway, which recognises people's experience and training through Motorsport UK. And we've made it possible for you to go and try different things. So you can go and do a day at a rally, go and do a day at speed event, go and do a day at race event, go and try all these different things. And you might find that actually some weekends you want to do one thing and other weekends you want to do something else. So it's kind of opening it up to people so that they can try things, try it, see what you like, try it, come back. And once you're in, you're hooked, definitely. It's just getting people to come along.
I always say to, like, if there's trainees on post who it's maybe their first or second day, I always say to them, try everything once. You know, for example, you would think that a 2CV 24-hour race would be like the worst thing to have to marshal, but it's one of the best events. You know, it's try everything once, see what you like. You might be surprised by something.
Absolutely. Tom, any thoughts?
You have to come back to me on that one, because obviously, I probably got like I'm probably the person that actually thinks this is probably like the most recent person to join this whole world of marshalling, and I think it's probably because people see what marshals do, and also it's probably like the weather. They probably turn around and go, I can be like they're in like a fair weather marshal, we could say in inverted commas. And they just turn around and go, I don't want to be standing out there when it's freezing cold, chucking it down with rain. I think that's what people need to realise is come down and do it whatever you want, and you're going to love it.
Absolutely. So the enjoyment of it just kind of pushes through that barrier of I might get soaking wet. It might be 40 odd degrees heat. And I'm boiling in a Nomex suit. I was
going to say the bad days are completely outnumbered by the good. So you kind of if it's bad weather, if it's 3 cars in a race, if it's like massive delays and nobody knows what's going on and you've lost your lunch break, you kind of think about what you're going to do at the end of the day, and that gets you through. It's either whatever suits you. Are you a shower followed by a beer person, or a bath and a prosecco? You know, that's what you're thinking about, is what's going to get you through the rest of the day.
Exactly.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
And no matter
I'm a prosecco person, so there you go.
and one thing to mention as well is no matter like how bad the day is, say if you're on a Saturday, it tends to be that a lot of marshals will stay over at the venue in a campsite. So even if you've had a really miserable day on post, there's always something to look forward to in the evening, you know, sitting around in motorhomes or, you know, around a campfire and having Prosecco, as Nadine said, or having a beer. There's other things to it which makes it a whole package, really.
Because I must say that, because it definitely comes across like a full-on proper community.
It's a family.
You know, family.
Very, very dysfunctional sometimes, but it's a family.
They're the best families, are they not?
The weird cousin we don't talk about, you know, that one. But it's a family, definitely.
I like that. Again, more comments coming in. Thank you so much, everyone watching tonight. Jamie Peters Ennis comes back, and this is something I kind of wanted to touch on. I'll explain in a second, but he says, how about championships put in their regs that drivers do a mandatory day's marshalling? Would that work?
They do.
Some do. The caterers
do.
There's one of the caterers
guy
championships
marshalling on Saturday, at Anglesey in the heat, in his race overalls. He did a day's marshalling on the bank on Saturday, and then he raced on Sunday.
I personally, I genuinely think every driver should do at least a minimum day's marshalling. You know, before you get. So I reckon, like for instance, the novice cross, you get 6 signatures. Your novice cross goes. I think one of those should be 100% has to be like a marshal day before the novice cross can go.
The catering one, it gets them a signature on their license.
Yeah. But because that's it. I know if we go and do a day's marshal. Yeah, I think it should definitely be a requirement.
That give them points to their championship if they go and do a day. So yeah.
Oh, brilliant! Oh yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to say where they didn't get championship points for. That's a series in 750 Motor Club, but I can't think who it is.
Bark do it as well. There's a Bark CNC Heads Northwest do it. So I think there was a competition going to see who could actually be leading the championship before actually turning a wheel on a circuit by going and doing the day marshalling first.
I like that.
Good idea, though.
The only reason I ask, I mean, it's there's been a couple of bits, particularly on social media, over the past year, where occasionally you do get the odd instant crop up where drivers have gone up, and I know it. I'm not going to mention the series in question; it wouldn't be fair. But a marshal actually commented to a certain series and said, "Look, I was on post. You had a car go off, double waved yellows, and you guys were barreling through that corner. You were not following the Blue Book rules." So my thoughts to that is, if a driver gets called up to the clerk of the course for, say, ignoring a yellow flag, anything like that, I mean, Sam, I know you work with Motorsport UK, so I'm just asking the question: could it be something that's brought forward that if you are found, instead of points or a fine, before you can go racing again, you have to do a mandatory day marshalling to give the driver's point of view of. The problem is you wouldn't want it seen as a punishment, but to get education. to
make it sound like community service.
Yeah. Well, it could be more of you have the fine and the points, or you go do a day's marshalling.
I mean, admittedly, it's not something I can definitely bring up. What you wouldn't want to do is have someone doing it out of force, but what it would do is give a mutual understanding of what it is like to be stood by when you've got 20 cars barreling into a corner when you've got someone spun and stopped there. And equally the same as like if you have, because stuff does seriously go wrong sometimes, it's having an understanding of also what protocols and procedures are in place at a venue if something has gone wrong and what the marshals do. And it's just that I think drivers will see one side of the rules, but it's the other side where it's put into force, like a yellow flag or a blue flag, and it's seeing it from the marshal's perspective.
I
fully advocate for that.
And the majority of drivers who've ever done a day, they've walked away learning so much. They've all said how much they've learned, and I've had them get involved in incidents, and they're like, the driver wouldn't listen. I was like, so you know what to do. If a marshal is telling you what to do, you listen. And he's like, I will always listen to a marshal, you know. So it's like, it's great that they take it on board, that those activities, if we can get them involved in something, it's perfect.
But then that's the thing, isn't it? Broadening the drivers and teams, you know, their knowledge of just how important, I don't know, even stuff like having certain things in your car to hand, you know, making sure your extinguisher system, for instance, is ready, knowing where to stop on the track safely without interfering with the race too much. There's all of these things. And I mean, you briefly touch on it when you're doing your ARDS test and things like that. It's like your driving test, isn't it? You do your test and you kind of leave it over there. You forget it. And that's it. And then, that's it. You go out on a racetrack and you're barreling around, like you say, Rob. But, you know, I know as a driver, I'm a driver myself, you've got that mentality in your head of, I won't ever crash. My car won't ever catch fire. It will never happen to me kind of mentality. And then you do see it when it does happen. People don't know what to do. It's a blind panic. Thankfully, you guys are on hand to sort the situation out. And that is where your training and you know, all of that comes into play. And you can just, you know, the driver can run around in a blind panic, like, while you guys save the day. But that's why, you know, for me, I think drivers should at least have a go. You just to help everybody out, really.
Yeah, I mean that was the thought behind it, to use it as right. Do a day marshalling, because you can then just get that perspective. This is why you ended up in the clerk's office, because you can see it from their point of view now, that while a race is, you're neutralising a corner in that race with double waved yellows, there's a car off, and you can learn from that experience, why it was you shouldn't be going full speed into that corner at double waved yellows, absolutely on point.
I do know of an incident that.
Go on, Carolyn. Go on.
No, I had an incident at Brands Hatch a few years ago, actually, where a driver we were pushing a car out the gravel, or trying to push a car out the gravel, and a driver did lose it and end up in our gravel trap under double waved yellows and safety car. And it wasn't a day's marshalling, but his punishment was to go and do a marshal's training day. So I know it does happen on occasion.
It does
happen. I don't
happen.
know how often it happens. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. No, to be honest, it was just a thought. It's good to get that sort of knowledge out there for you guys, and especially as we know a lot of club races will be tuning in to watch tonight, and a lot of people do listen to the podcast and watch it retrospectively. So in the next few weeks, people will be getting that view of, it does happen, and it's great to get that view and get that feedback.
I think it will give drivers a different perspective, and I think it will give them a different view of the marshals, because having spoken to a number who've done it, it's very much, and I completely understand, you turn up, you know what time your car is being scrutineered, you know what time you're qualifying, you know what time you're racing. Those are the times that are important to you. But what you don't realise is, while you're on a break, we're not, because the next session is out, and the next session is out, and that understanding of how all of that happens and how it all links together. And I think to come on a taster day is quite good, because we will walk people around circuit. That's what we normally try and do on a taster day at most of the venues around the country. So you can pick which one's nearest, but literally walk you around the circuit while there's qualifying sessions going on, and explaining what we're doing, what you're getting involved in, and then going up into race control to actually see how it's all then being coordinated by radio communication. So you can actually see how it all fits together, which is why we do it for the marshals, but also for the drivers. They kind of go, oh, okay, that makes sense. And then when you're pulling it forward, and when you desperately need us to come into assembly area, we understand why you need us, or why we've now been pushed back, or what's happened out there. Whereas you're actually quite isolated as a driver, I would say, just purely concentrating on what your sessions are, and not really seeing the whole picture of how that day is going, and what other influences are going on at the same time.
100% agree with that.
And I think also, also a lot of clerks, they started out as marshals. So you got that as well. The clerks can actually sit down and actually make the driver realise by pointing at the marshal's point of view. So you can have that, and you got them, and also you can have them actually come out and do a day's marshalling as well. So they can actually make sure they sit up and listen about it.
Yeah, good shout. I want to flip the. There's one thing I want to do. Can I flip the question quickly? And how would marshals feel about coming out in the race cars to see how us drivers see things? Would you think that would help? Like do taster days. So I know some clubs do it, and I know some teams do it, where they take marshals out as passengers in cars.
Yeah.
Do you think maybe sometimes that needs to happen?
I would say two things. So one, definitely, because it's just makes you feel sick and would never do it again from my perspective. But yes. But great experience, and I've been out in lots of different cars with lots of different people and been fantastic, and then had to go for a lie down afterwards, but brilliant. The other thing is also we try and get drivers to come along to training days to give their perspective. So potentially from a flagging perspective, it's really good to have the driver's eye line, what they can see, what they can't see. So then it's really clear for the marshals, okay, if I just wave it in this direction, you're not going to see that flag. You're just going to see a stick, and it's not going to help you at all. And the communication point of view. So we've had it on a few occasions, some of the training days I've done, where we've had videos of drivers being in races, and it's their race. And then they've said, we didn't see that flag. We had no clue
Yeah.
that was happening. We saw that, you know, so to make it really clear, and not to kind of pick out certain individuals, but just to give examples to marshals so that they know what's good and bad and what you can see and what can't be seen. So yeah, definitely.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I only say that because.
Sorry, go ahead, Carolyn.
No, I was gonna. I did a training day where we had a driver, and it wasn't so much. He sort of talked about what he could see with the flags and things, but he spoke as well about sort of his mindset, what was going through his mind. So it was an incident. I was at Silverstone. He was in the gravel. From our point of view, the communication made perfect sense. They were going to drag it out, then they couldn't drag it out, then they were going to lift it, then the safety car came out, so they were going to drag it out, so he was going to be able to rejoin, then he couldn't rejoin. So, but from our point of view, that made perfect sense. From his point of view, he was sat in the car getting more and more frustrated, watching his championship disappear before his very eyes, and it was really useful for us to have that understanding of, yeah, a driver might be frustrated and he might be angry, but this is why. It's not personally at you, but if he's watching however many thousands of pounds go down the toilet basically because his race may or may not restart, it was a really sort of useful insight into that.
Yeah,
I think another beneficial side of doing it the other way round, and I've been fortunate enough that I've got a car sat in the garage, a little single seater, the hill climb car, and I think what that's taught me, and when I've gone and helped friends run their cars as well, is the technical aspect behind running these kind of cars, and the sort of things that drivers are thinking of in terms of how the car is running. If you've got engines running on fine tolerance and not going to cold start, it might take a few minutes to let them cool down before they can start again, or you know, there's certain things about the car. If they're running a pneumatic shift gearbox, for instance, they need the electrics on, and we're always told as marshals to keep the electrics off when we're dealing with an incident. So it's things like that which can be passed on to marshals to understand the little technicalities of the certain cars racing in these events, and they know exactly why a driver might not be able to pull out the pit straight away, or why they can't take their run, you know, at the click of a finger. There's all those little aspects which could be useful in that respect.
It's an interesting point you raise there. But again, we've got loads more comments coming in. I'll come to them in a second. So the increase, so there's two, I was basically going to mention the key word there being technology. So there's two sides of that. So have you guys found that the technology has improved tracks, especially because you mentioned, Nadine, the flags? Well, a lot of places now, particularly the MSV circuits, have got the LED light boards there now, haven't I? Has that been a massive, more beneficial for the marshals, or is there a downside to it? What's your guys' thoughts?
I'm not going to comment on the lights. It's an ongoing process, the lights being installed. I think in terms of ability to see, I think that's the important is to enable drivers to see flags, lights, whatever's being used. So I think lights in certain circumstances, night, obviously ideal to have lights, poor visibility, really bad rain, fog, whatever, lights, dead important. But I think also the fact that the flags can give so much more information to drivers. And signal, and marshals are interactive effectively as a flag marshal. So that's the benefit of obviously having the flag marshal themselves. I think in terms of technology, there's lots of technology coming, obviously from a car perspective as well as infrastructure perspective, and it's just making sure that they're implemented in the right way with the right understanding of everybody to make sure that they work the best way.
Absolutely. I mean, go ahead, Carolyn. Sorry.
I really like the combination of flags and lights. Speaking to a couple of racing driver friends, what they've said is that the movement of the flag is what grabs your attention.
Yes.
As a driver, whether you agree with that, but to then have that backup of, well, I saw the flag, but what colour was it? You've then got a light panel that really clearly displays
the light, reinforces
the light, so that the flag sort of alerts your attention that you need to be looking for something, and then you've got the light there. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you guys said there about the working together, and you touched on it as well, Nadine, about how sort of how viscerally someone could wave a flag. So you know that if the car's sat on the apex and the marshal's really going crazy with the flag, because it's just, but it's even little things like a couple marshals stood next to them doing that with their hands, telling you, slow down, you're about to go straight into a car. And it's little bits like that I guess a light gantry can't give you. It will just be a constant flashing beacon.
Exactly.
So brilliant. I can see your point there. The other side to the technology I wanted to ask about to the four of you is the technology increasing cars, especially, I mean, it's in the touring cars this year, but hybrid. So how much of a challenge has that been to coming into the marshals world, especially with the electronics?
I think it's an
As long as
evolving
you've got the
process.
special.
Go on, Carolyn. Go on.
No, you go on.
I would say there's definitely at the moment there's a gap between the technology of the cars is increasing exponentially by the year in terms of EVs, hybrids, MGU8, whatever in Formula One, and there's at the moment there's like a gap in the training aspects of marshals and officials and how to deal with those. And I think what that's done is instilled a fear across the country where events don't want to run these cars because there's like a grey area. I think there is certainly on Motorsport UK's part, and again, it's across all the venues, is to match that level of training of officials and marshals to accommodate for those kind of cars. But it's something that's being worked on, and I was doing stuff last week about EVs, trying to build training packages to deliver to marshals. But generally, I think EVs I don't think they're going to be the entire future of the sport. There's going to be a mix. But we've got to accommodate for that, and there's plenty of opportunities I think in the future where we can sort of match the training and make it so that venues can accept EVs, so it is commonplace rather than just certain series like BTCC, Formula One, WEC. It's definitely a work in progress.
And I think
I don't know if there's
Sorry,
well,
I was just going to say, in terms of what Sam said, I'm just going to add to that if there is an event that is obviously like something like touring cars, then there's additional information given to marshals. Same as Formula One, there's additional information given to the marshals who are at that specific event. So as long as we know that there's an EV or hybrid, whatever it is that's there, and how we are expected to deal with it, then we're told at that point in time. But I think Sam's point of saying at the moment it's almost being held on to as to who can have these cars out there purely because everybody's concerned about how we manage them and how we deal with them. But those series where they already exist, there's already that information given out for that series.
I do have a solution for them.
Okay. Go
a
on.
large wooden stick.
Just good. I mean, to be fair, Nick's an electrician.
just from a distance, a big wooden stick, just poke things, or like, that's how you sort EVs out. Easy.
Can you imagine that though? If you're sat in the driver's seat and this big wooden stick just comes in and starts poking.
Just trying to get the kill switch.
No, I kid you not. So rescue units on events which are running EVs as part of their kit list to cater for them, there is actually a long plastic pole which they use to either get the driver out the car if they're being electric shock basically, or to touch the car without actually touching it with your hands. It is a genuine thing. Is it
actually? There was me just on a wind up. Love it.
I mean, and that would be absolutely worst case scenario, one in a billion type of scenario. But to be honest, that gives me comfort because it's great to see that already, even though the technology is in its infancy, these procedures are starting to come into place for you guys to start doing that as well. And it's important for the marshals.
And just so that from a rally perspective, just so that people, there is a rally, I think it was a Nissan Leaf, I can't remember what it was, but it was a rally EV out there. And basically they insisted that the only way they would allow the car to run was if one of the team was on the rescue unit. So basically that member of the team is the person who knows what to do. and they would ensure that person was there. So they would be the person who'd be effectively sent in with the big stick to go and deal with the car. But that's from a couple of years ago. So that was kind of like, how do we do this? And now that obviously there is a program and a process coming on board to actually manage this and get that information out there.
Oh,
brilliant.
And
fantastic. Go on, Tom.
Yeah, and I think you say about touring cars, and yeah, I think that's what's really helped is that Toka and Bark have been so good this year because I did the training with them and we were taught everything what to do with touring cars, and it was so good because there's a whole diagram and everything, and they explained the light system, and I think that's what's helped. As long as the championship works alongside the organised, so in this case Toka and Bark, then I think that's what's going to make what makes life really good for the marshals, is that the information is brought down through the relevant parties and the relevant people. And I think that's what's made everybody feel more relaxed with dealing with EVs, is that they've been told at their training what they do and how to deal with it when things go, hopefully not really, really wrong.
Okay, no, again, great insight there, Tom, and it's good to see the major championships doing that. I need to catch up with some of these comments because there's loads coming in. You guys are really popular tonight, so again, thank you for everyone for commenting in tonight. Neil Ashcroft, in my experience, you guys are so professional on circuit that people don't realise it's a volunteering thing that they can get involved in. That's quite a good point, actually. Yeah. Because
that was a very good point.
And again, every racer will say this.
I was like, I've got a job that surely they must be professional people who do this. I didn't know they were volunteers, and I think that's a big thing. A lot of people don't realise that it's voluntary. But
it's also a credit because it's the way the marshals do the job and carry themselves. They make it look like a profession. It's again, great point there, Neil. Thank you for commenting in with that. Tim Perry, I actually got involved 4 years ago at Castle Combe. I actually just asked the marshal how to get involved. I then spoke to the chief marshal, who invited me to a training day the following weekend. I've never looked back. Superb. Great to have.
Richard drags them in at Castle Combe.
Just grabs them by the ear, get it.
Yeah.
Love it. Fantastic. Andrew Banthorpe, regular listener to the show. Good evening, Andrew. Evening all. After spending numerous years marshalling ovals, both me and my partner have both recently switched over to circuits after getting the bug at a plea for help for the Anglesey 24-hour KA race. Fantastic to see there, Andrew. Brilliant. Tim Perry also agrees it is like a whole separate family, one of the best things to come from marshalling. Adam Stubbs comments as well. I've had drivers on post. We learn as much from them as they have learned from us. It benefits both sides. So again, that goes to your points there, guys. Brilliant. Megan Edwards also agrees. Like, if you get caught doing something wrong as a driver, they should do a marshal awareness corner for the day, or you get the points. I suppose, like, they akin to the road licensing with Motorsport UK.
Yeah.
How many of you guys out there have been on a driver awareness course? That's 3 hours I'll never get back. But I bet you a Marshals Day will be a lot more fun than that.
Best thing about my driver's awareness course, I got caught speeding in the slowest car I've ever bloody owned.
Which car was that?
A Vauxhall Zafira.
Did you ask them if you could keep the photo?
Yeah. Honestly, look, it does go fast. Yeah. That was funny.
Oh, my word. To be fair, I got caught in my work van that's limited to 68, and it was on the A34, but it was the only stretch of the A34 that they slow it down to 50 because of noise. Not because of date, because of noise. I was so angry. Anyway, Andrew Butcher, I did a day's marshalling to get a novice signature and then did my first race at Castle Combe. When I joined Dawn at the marshal post, I had my own little fan club. Fair play, Andrew. I like that. You'll have to send us some pictures from your experience doing that, and we'll get them up in a future show. Carl Brooker, I learned from my friends who raced about some of the issues they have seen and experienced at circuit and during races. It's always good to get perspective from the other side as it helps everyone to improve.
Yeah.
Great point there, Carl. Thank you for commenting. Jamie Peters-Ennis comments back, watching Nadine and her team at Anglesey during the incident in the Fun Cup night race, it was a real eye-opener. No one panicked, everyone knew what to do, and the drivers involved were very thankful at how swiftly it was dealt with.
Yeah,
Again,
we had a big one.
That's it.
I'll be honest, I wasn't going to mention it because I know no details about it yet, but I do understand the Fun Cup race was stopped short 45 minutes towards from the end. But hopefully everyone okay.
By me. It was me who had to stop it, so yeah.
Right.
Yeah, everyone was okay.
Everyone's okay.
100%. One of the cars is a write-off, and I understand one of the drivers hurt his thumb, but otherwise fine.
So he's not quite giving the thumbs up, or he could be with a splint on it. We'll see.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'll see. Speaking of the Fun Cup, actually, Nick, we've got some news on that front, haven't we?
We have. We're going to be doing a Fun Cup episode in the next couple of weeks.
There we go. So keep your eyes peeled for future episodes.
And a certain somebody who has been very active in the comments this evening will be joining us. Will they not, Jamie?
Would that be Jamie Peters-Ennis joining us?
Yeah, it will be. with others as well. So it's going to be a good
as usual, ladies and gents, keep your eyes peeled out for the future episodes of the Club Racing UK podcast. Run every 2 weeks on a Wednesday night. Right, back to the comments. Tim Perry, this is talking about the lights that we were discussing just now. I like them in addition to flagging, not instead of flags. So again, that's another one. Another vote for that. Vince Fitter comments in, big thanks to all the guys and girls in Orange for everything they do for us week in, week out. We are in Garage 19 at Brands this weekend, and if any of you would like a drink on the Saturday, pop in and help yourself. Tea, coffee, and cold drinks. So there we go.
I'll make a note of that.
Make a note of that, Tom. I'll be there as well because this weekend is, of course, the Citroen C1 Series race at Brands Hatch, where yours truly will be on the pit lane commentating. No live stream this time, though. Just the circuit comms.
I will highly recommend going and seeing the Team Morwin guys because they're bloody fantastic. And I'm not just saying that because they had us for the 24-hour. They are just a genuinely top bunch of guys.
Absolutely.
And the food is good too. The food's very good.
Food is superb. Absolute top notch. So, marshals, if you're at Brands this weekend, Garage 19. Dawn Butcher. Definitely get a marshal out on track 2 to see the racer's point of view. I've seen too many flaggies waving at a car that has already passed the point that they would see the flag waved, and their eye line has moved on further up the track. Referencing the lights, additional to flags is good, but you cannot replace a flagging with instant reaction and double waved yellows frantically to emphasize the urgency and oil with a single light. That's a really good point. Again, it's good to get this feedback from it. A light only does one setting, whereas I've waved 4 flags at a time. I don't know about anyone else, but I have done 4. Yeah.
Two in each hand.
A red and 2 in each hand.
Bloody hell, you must have arms like Popeye.
Not for a long time, thankfully, but I have done 2 in each hand.
Okay, so let's segue from the comments. So, a weird question? What's the longest time you've had to wave a flag for, whether it's yellow, red, green, whatever? So, what's the longest sort of time period? I can imagine a long safety car period. That's going to be, oh my God, this is so bad.
Yeah, it's when you normally drag somebody else and ask them to take over for a bit once you've used both arms for a while. Yeah, safety car. I've had to do it when we've left a car in situ till the end of a session. So 5-10 minutes to the end.
Sam, Carolyn, Tom, come on, give us your.
I try not to time it because it's too depressing. But if you do like a 24-hour race or something like that, safety cars can go on for a very, very long time. But then it's possible because if the
marathon sprint, 25 minutes, I think, at World Endurance Silverstone a few years ago. That was long.
I bet you had arms like Popeye afterwards.
We were swapping over between people.
I'm not surprised. That must have been. I mean, a gym session would have probably hurt less. Let's be honest.
There you go. Become a marshal and you'll never skip arm day.
It's usually
Well, to be fair, it's a good point because as well as waving flags, lifting up car bumpers, pushing over rolled cars, poking drivers with a long plastic stick,
running to event.
Running up. Yeah,
running. Yeah.
So instead,
running.
So instead of a gym, I might ditch a gym membership then and just go marshalling instead. Why not? Why not?
It's cheaper.
It would be cheaper. Nick Goff, late to the party, but a huge thank you to all the gang in Orange, you legends. So Nick Goff is the team owner of Team Morwin Motorsport. So again, Garage 19, if you're at Brands this weekend, go get yourself some refreshments courtesy of Team Morwin. You're legends for doing that, by the way, guys. Jamie Peters Ennis does confirm, yep, we are doing a Fun Cup show with you raving lunatics. Myself, Andy McEwen, and Neil Plimmer, who has done every season since his exception. We're looking forward to that one.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be good.
Exactly. Neil Ashcroft makes a good point. Lights can't lift you out of a car.
This is a very fair point.
That is a very fair point. I tell you what, right, we're going to have a bit of a light-hearted view at Marshalls now. We've got two very good videos that we have clipped that shows just the characters of marshalling. We'll play them one after another, but if you are watching, take a look at these. It's quite funny.
Yeah. Red Bull? No. Better post that.
That one. This is going to be just what a great sight. It's an exciting afternoon here at Alton Park. Ask any marshal.
Or is that just a big red and white rucksack and he's fallen over on it?
It looks about the same size as mine, doesn't it? That I carry. Oh, meanwhile, the boys are out rowing. Now, that's more like it. They're at Lodged Corner this morning. They were exercising for a quick roll. And
I love that. I found those two clips. I mean, the Pescara one we knew about because, and again, thank you to Philip Lee for sending that across. But we knew about that recently, and we had to get that up on the show. But the second clip I just came across per chance a few weeks ago, and when the episode came up, I was like, I've got to get that in. We don't normally cover the bikes, but we had to get that in because it's super.
Yeah, that's good. That can lead us on quite nicely, isn't it? So what's, obviously seeing there, it's all fun and game. Obviously, you guys do an incredibly serious job. But, I mean, what kind of things do you keep yourselves entertained with between doing the serious stuff?
We're not going to mention the pork pies, are we?
They all say it's a myth.
You have to
they
now.
All say it's a myth.
I was going to say I will.
Any baked goods will do it.
I don't need pork pies, but to be perfectly honest, but there is a theory that obviously marshals need to keep themselves fed and watered during the day, so it's quite easy to have something that's small and easy to eat at different intervals. So meat products of some description are normal for marshals, and quite frequently, once something has been eaten, there is a tendency for something to happen immediately afterwards. That keeps us busy.
Tim Perry does say, "Oh no, Nadine, you didn't."
Well, somebody was going to mention the pork pies, and it has to be done. I dispute the pork pie theory because I've been on post far too frequently where stuff's happened and nobody's had the chance to eat a pork pie by that point. But it does frequently happen. It just happens to be a happy coincidence.
You've also got the magnet theory as well. Magnet theory. So basically. It just so happens to be that certain individuals marshalling on certain posts at certain tracks seem to attract incidents happening with them. So there's a general theory that people are called magnets because they literally attract cars into the wall at their posts.
I got accused of eating iron filings for breakfast to become the magnet on post. So yeah, I'm one of those.
Like it.
So going on from Nick's question there, what's the most amusing thing that's happened to you guys in your marshalling so far? Are there any funny ones? I was
going to say I had one at the weekend which I did have to call over the radio and was trying not to laugh, and I did get people comment saying we could hear you were trying not to laugh on that, where I literally had one car spinning in one direction and one car driving off onto the grass in the other direction, totally separately. They hadn't seen each other at all, but just total separate incidents, which was just like, how did they even manage to do that? So when I called it in, it was quite amusing.
He's going to kill me for saying this, but Carl Brooker, who commented before, has red flagged or called for a red flag at Cadwell Park because there was a cow on the circuit.
Yes, I saw that a few weeks ago.
There's a cow
No,
on
this
the
this
circuit.
this is a couple of years ago. This is pre
I was gonna say, the cows at
2020. This
Cadwell are
is a while ago. Yeah.
No, because MSV track, they had one on a recent track day at Cadwell.
Yeah.
They had a cow get onto
Yeah.
the circuit, and there's just a
Yeah.
photo of, I assume, will be one of the recovery guys. And this really, it's past 9
It
o'clock.
was
so
one
I
of
can
the
say now.
circuit staff, I think. But yeah.
Yeah, and just this
I think
really
it happens
pissed
quite a
off
lot.
looking cow, just looking at them like, "What are you doing?" I'm just grazing.
Animals at venues are normally quite amusing.
Well, I mean,
yeah.
I mean, well, the one Nick, I don't know what pops
Please-
into your head, but straight away, Bathurst. If you watch the 12 hours
Kangaroos.
of Bathurst, kangaroos just on the circuit there.
Oh, or
Yeah.
in a Kinder, as there was a couple of years back. There you go. Look at that.
Yes, that was last year,
Just-
wasn't it?
Just quickly though, going back to the cows, please tell me you stuck it on the recovery truck. Please.
Could you imagine
And then
trying to tie that
towed it
sucker
back
down?
towed it back to the farmer, and then unhooked it there.
Oh my god, that's
Yeah, that would be good.
I'm sorry, that's done it for me. That's done it for
That
me.
was amusing, wasn't it?
It was. Cows at Cadwell. I didn't realise though. Cows at Cadwell were that famous. I just thought that was an isolated incident.
Yeah.
No,
Okay.
there
No,
is
I
a
think it's
farm
happened a
literally
few
next
times.
door.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and cars have gone over the barrier into the farm. There was one in recent, within the last couple of years, one went over the barrier into the farm. And they actually had to send the recovery truck down the farm track to go and recover the car because they couldn't get to it.
Oh.
So just payback for the cows.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Then. It's
You can have one of
swings and
ours.
roundabouts, isn't it?
Yeah.
There you go. Can you imagine the conversation with the fact? Can we just pop and pick up that car that's just gone over the fence there? Just like,
I
You
think
say
that was
that.
literally the conversation. once the driver had walked back and said, "My car's over there somewhere."
yeah,
We can't park that there, mate.
Can't park that there.
outstanding.
You say that. One of our engineers at work, he's just been in Wales doing some off-roading. Did you hear this story, Steph? Did AD show you the pictures of it? So they went off-roading this weekend. And one of the vehicles, I think, did like 6-7 barrel rolls. Ended up in the farm's garden, but the guys that own the farm were out having lunch, and all of a sudden this off-roader just landed in their garden. Just thought that was quite funny. It's a similar story to Cadwell there, but you just imagine just merrily eating your plougmans, and all of a sudden there's a bloody vehicle upside down in your garden.
Yeah,
So that'd be
just
quite funny.
I suppose, to be honest, the sport you'd see that the most in rally. I mean, it happened at Croatia recently with the Ford Puma ended up in someone's garden. I mean, it happens, but you don't expect to see it at a race circuit unless it's Cadwell Park, it would appear. I mean,
Yeah.
That's quite funny. Megan Edwards actually comments as well. Snetterton a few years ago, we had piglets run onto the track from the pig farm near Corham.
Oh, right. Oops.
That's one way to get the bacon rolls in the morning. Chris Pearson, excuse me, Farmer Giles, can we have our car back, please? Right. So the question goes out now. So if I was brand new to the scene, what would be the best way to get someone into marshalling? Straight up.
So come along to a taster day. Literally come along to a taster day. Either speak to a marshal, contact the circuits, and they'll put you in touch with the marshals clubs, and then go along to a taster day. Sign up however you can, and try it out. Would be my recommendation.
Absolutely fantastic. Well, thank you guys for giving us your time this evening. We have at the moment got to have a look at some of our wonderful competitions, haven't we, Stefan?
Yep, I suppose we have.
I've caught him off guard.
As always.
Well, to be fair, I was looking at the time like we're an hour and a half into the show. We've done no advertisement, nothing. But the show's great. It's the marshals. Just as you say, with the comments and things like that coming in, it's just good. This is what happens, isn't it? You get a good conversation going. It's just It's great.
Absolutely right. Let's have a look at some of our competitions, and then we'll come back to our guest to talk about all things marshalling.
So the two competitions we've got running at the moment. We've got one for the Club Racing UK members competition. To enter into that, you only need to become a member, and you're automatically entered in. So head to the website, hit the become a member button. £2 a month or £20 a year. And the current competition is to win a full disc and pad setup for your car, courtesy of EBC Brakes. As I said, become a member and you'll be automatically chucked into competition. It ends the end of August. So when we hit that, we'll pick a winner and we'll let you know. The second competition is our Club Racing UK Summer Raffle.
Summer Raffle. I feel like we need a song or a ditty for this one.
We probably
do.
We do.
But if you head to the
I'll
website,
sing a song.
Head to the shop, you can purchase your Summer Raffle ticket. It's £5 a ticket, or a special offer at the moment is you can get 10 tickets for half the price, so it'd be £25. And the prizes include a fully paid race entry fee up to £400. Again, if you've already booked all your races for the year, that race entry fee will be refunded, so you won't lose out. A track day courtesy of Marketing Delivery with open track, £200 worth of Super Pro bushes courtesy of VW Doctor, £250 custom racewear vouchers courtesy of Turn 7, Uncle Luke's signers sticker shop, surprise bundle, Club Racing UK teamwear t-shirt and Club Racing UK sticker back. All them prizes to be won for a ticket, £5 on the website. Go check them out.
There we go. So the summer raffle, which is getting quite popular already, we've had lots of people buying tickets up for that. Some great prizes are on offer. So get yourself over to clubracinguk. Is it .com or .co.uk? I keep forgetting.
Robert Lewis.
.co.uk.
How could it be .com with the name of Club Racing UK? That wouldn't fit.
Yeah, I know, but with the way domains work, sometimes I get confused. Right. Coming back to our wonderful guest, Nadine, I've got to ask you the question. How did that feel? Well, two questions, actually. How did it feel being on the podium at the British Grand Prix? And number two, are there as many fans as Lewis Hamilton keeps suggesting?
To answer your first question, phenomenal, I think, in a word. That whole day and the whole invitation to actually go and do that was just a bit mind-blowing. I literally got a call on the Wednesday before the Grand Prix to say, can you come to Silverstone on Sunday? To which I said, no, I'm at Donington. And then they said, no, you misunderstood the question. We need you to come to Silverstone on Sunday. I was like, okay. And then they spent the day on Thursday talking to the FIA to convince them that that's what they wanted to do. And then I got the confirmation Thursday night to say, you're doing this on Sunday. So the whole lead up to it, everything being there, obviously the grid walk I did as well, which I have to say, Carolyn saying about the first time the cars come out on Friday at a Grand Prix. I have marshalled a number of Grand Prix, but I have to say being on the grid, even though it was a slightly different rendition of the national anthem, and then the Rad Arrows fly over, that was probably the heart in mouth moment when I thought, oh my God, this is really happening. And was just an amazing experience to be there. I've stood next to the grid at the start of a race. So the year that Raikkonen binned his Ferrari, I was actually on the start line. So when they all came back round, when it got red flagged, I was actually there as the marshal from that perspective. But being there as a guest is slightly different. And then the race itself, obviously the race was just a bit of a crazy race as well from that first corner incident, the protesters, which we won't talk about. And then obviously the whole race itself as the build up to the race. But my role, I needed, so I was at Brooklands and was transferred by minibus down to the wing for the podium itself. But I needed to be down there 12 laps before the end of the race. So at that point, I still didn't know who I was going to be presenting to. And I got to watch the last 5 laps on a very small telly in the middle of race control, and I was screaming at the telly. I can honestly say that, oh my God, this is completely crazy. Who am I actually going to be giving this trophy to? So I was screaming at the telly completely. And then to go out onto the podium is a bit bizarre. So it's kind of, we go through what they'd call the green room. So where the drivers would go through, we had to walk through there to get onto the podium. And we were stood on the podium while they were being interviewed below us, and we couldn't hear anything at all. We could not hear the conversation that was going on below us at all. But I did at one point turn to David Richards and go, I think Lewis has just thanked the fans because of the noise from the fans. As Carolyn said, when the fans actually make noise, it's quite phenomenal. And I was actually at the last corner marshalling a few years ago when Lewis wasn't even on the podium. He didn't finish on the podium when he was at McLaren. And I was one of the marshals. So it was when they first allowed the track invasion, and we actually ran across the track before they actually went up onto the podium. And Lewis had got out of his car. He hadn't even taken his helmet off. And the noise from the crowd, it was like complete silence because there's no cars going round. And when he got out of the car and he realised, he kind of turned around, he still had his helmet on, and obviously earplugs and everything, but he could hear the noise. And he literally turned around to acknowledge the crowd, and the noise got louder. And you kind of go, that's incredible to have that absolute noise that comes from the fans. And to say, I was there when we did the 2 races under COVID with no fans. And it's the most bizarre experience ever to go from that noise, that incredible noise from just the crowd, to then having complete silence is very bizarre. So yes,
it was lovely for getting home though at the end. We didn't have to queue to get out. That was a plus.
Yeah, so absolutely for the COVID ones, but yeah, the difference is phenomenal. It really is, and to experience it, I think from a marshalling perspective, as Carolyn said, it's a bit bizarre the days. I think the common comment is it's a single race event spread over 3 days because of the time gaps between each session, and so they're long days for marshals, but that first time that cars come out onto the circuit is quite breathtaking. I remember going with my brother-in-law, first time he'd ever been at a Formula One event, and the grin didn't leave his face from the moment the first car came out onto practice session. That was it. And I was like, do you want ear defenders? Do you want earplugs? And he was like, no, not at all. This was probably about 15 years ago when they were proper noisy. And I think that sound is just phenomenal. And even if you're not particularly an F1 fan, or as a marshal, you kind of like, do I want to go and do F1? I would say just go purely for that atmosphere and that whole environment that you get sucked into, basically. And the air horn that goes off every time somebody goes past, it's like every lap there's an air horn for one driver, and I never know which one it is, and it's like that whoever that fan is just can spot that car every time it goes round, because every time that air horn goes off, so but it's all of that just makes the F1, and it's quite a phenomenal event just from that perspective.
Not that Liberty Media will be watching or listening to our podcast, but you won't get that atmosphere at the 5 American tracks you're about to go to. Just saying. And don't get rid of Spa either. Anyway, Adam Stubbs, thank you very much for putting this up. So if you are interested, whether it's British Grand Prix, whether it's at the hundreds of wonderful club events around the country, and you want to get involved with marshalling, head to this website. So this is www.marshals.co.uk. Go to About Marshalling and look at getting yourself on a taster day. Simple as that, folks. Get yourself marshalling.
We should get ourselves on that.
I think we need to get some taster days booked and go and vlog them.
Hell yeah. That's a vlogging episode straight away.
That'll be a vlogging episode, and Nick has fallen over again.
We do also have some information about on our website if you go to the racing page on our website.
Absolutely there, guys. So the wonderful world of marshalling there at your fingertips. It's free. It's voluntary. Get yourself down there. And if you are a driver, as us three are about to find out, get yourself marshalling. Yes, Nick?
There is one thing, like I should have asked this earlier when we were like kind of talking about it. So for you four, what are your bare minimum requirements to go marshalling? You mentioned about being like over 18, but what are the bare minimum
over 11.
requirements?
Over
11.
11 and above, but accompanied obviously by adults if you're not 18. Willing to listen and willing to try. That would be it for me.
And probably one be you have to be completely barking mad.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say completely. It might make you completely barking mad, but I would say just even an interest in motorsport, because the first time you go, you might find that some things you like, some things you don't, and there's probably a role somewhere that you could try that is different. So it's kind of try everything, try anything, as Carolyn said, just to see what you like doing as well.
Absolutely.
I'd say if you do decide it's for you and you want to carry on with it, then I'd strongly recommend you register yourself as a marshal with Motorsport UK. It's free. It doesn't cost you any money, and you get your card through the post. And what that then enables you to do is so we have the pathway, as Nadine said, you can progress through the sport and build your experience and knowledge and get the training. There's training events happening all the time, particularly in the off season. And there's a reason why British marshals are considered some of the best in the world. It's because of the training standards that we have in the UK. So if you're interested in it, you're in the right place. Come and get a taste today done, sign up with Motorsport UK and go and enjoy it and try as much as you can. And even if you can't travel very far, there's various aspects at a single venue that might be close to you. So you can marshal a paddock or a pit lane, and that'd be totally different to going to marshalling on the trackside doing flags, for instance. So you can always find something that you like doing. And that'd be my advice to anyone looking at doing it.
Love it. Chris Pearson also, he commented here, I brought it up before you came in. Quick question, how much would it cost roughly for the orange overalls and gloves, etc.?
Depending on if you join a club or not, you will get them fully subsidised or significantly subsidised. So a set of overalls probably would cost you best part of 100 quid, but a lot of clubs that you join will subsidise that. So sponsorship obviously covers it. Silverstone, BMMC, it effectively works out a free set of overalls. And then subsidised waterproofs, which we always recommend, regardless of what the weather is actually doing today. Take waterproofs, because I had them with me at the weekend at Anglesey, but I knew it was going to be hot, but I still had my waterproofs with me. Set of gloves, 5-6 quid, nothing too dramatic. So you can, and I would say a decent set of boots, and you can get them that would suit you. There's no steel toe cap, preferably. But that's all the requirement that we'd say is set of boots, hats, whatever suits you, gloves, something sensible. But it doesn't cost you an awful lot. And as I say, most clubs will subsidise the cost of a lot of the equipment.
Brilliant. That's good.
Love it, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I think this has probably been one of our popular episodes for a while, bar the photography episode that we had 2 weeks ago. It's great to have new topics on the podcast and get to meet wonderful people like yourselves. Now that just kind of leaves, chaps, any other business?
Carry on.
Go on, Sam.
I was just going to say, if anyone has any questions, I know Motorsport UK is seen as the governing body of all motorsport, blah, 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 blah. But us guys who work in the learning and development team, we're all active officials and marshals, and we're on the other end of the phone, and we're more than happy to take questions. And if you have any worries or queries or want to get involved, we're real people, and we want you to get involved. So just get in touch with us, give us a ring, and ask for one of us during the week. More than happy.
Fantastic.
Sounds good.
There we go. Right, Steph, you were about to mention something.
No, I wasn't.
No, absolutely. Well, Guys, it's been an hour and 45 minutes. It's been wonderful getting to know you, listening to your experiences as a marshal. My thanks again to our wonderful guests, Tom, Sam, Carolyn, and Nadine, our wonderful marshals. Don't forget, #OrangeArmy.
100%.
We love the marshals. Get yourself to a Marshals Taster Day. Look at all the information available and see if you can get out there and keep British motorsport going. I've been your host, Robert Lewis, with Nick Holmes and Stefan Marsh. What was that, Nick? Have I missed something?
No, I'm saying goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone. And once
well, we
again,
could just carry on for hours, couldn't we?
Well, we could carry on for hours. We love these kind of shows. It's been great having everyone on. And thank you once again to our wonderful guests. It's been the Club Racing UK podcast, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks.
See you later.